Welcome back to Built to Ship, the podcast where we go behind the scenes with founders and product leaders shipping real AI products into the world. I'm excited to be joined by Kumar. He's a founding member of 360World and Chief Product Officer. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be on your podcast, Tyler.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to learning more about 360World. Maybe we could start with your background. What were you doing before this? How'd you join 360World? And was your background relevant, or was this a totally new angle for you?
Sure. So I have been in and around industry for quite a long time, close to 20 years, and I have had the chance to work at small companies, startup size to mid-size to really big companies. And last gig prior to 360 was actually at Google, and I was a product manager at Google. I have had the chance to do product management at on-prem companies to largely cloud to pure cloud and so forth. And basically the founder of this company originally Dina, he's also from Google. He has a technical background, and he was looking for someone to join him, and that's how we got into touch with each other. And I joined 360. So 360 has a very compelling product and very compelling story. Would love to go in detail with you on that. So that's how I came about to be at 360 World.
Amazing. Yeah, tell me a bit more about the why was 360 founded originally, and who is it for? Who are your types of users, customers?
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me actually start outlining by like a problem statement, like what is happening. And then I will kind of go into the actual story, how we kind of discovered this opportunity.
Sounds great. Spoken like a true product manager. Let's start with
Yes,
the problem to solve.
yes, absolutely right. So the what we are doing is that we are bringing a very unique and innovative solution to the market, which is based on a concept what we call presence economy. Now, just like the digital economy monetized the digital data that a business had or an individual had, we are monetizing the presence of a person. Under this idea, the basic premise is that location and the availability of an individual, of a person, actually becomes their monetizable asset. And anywhere in the entire world, regardless of language, gender, age, or education level, they can participate in this presence economy as long as they have a smartphone and a willingness to share their availability. And I will go into that in a moment. So basically, that makes it about 5.7 billion folks as our target market, and easily 100 billion plus revenue potential. This particular idea has a business application, peer-to-peer application, government sector application, and I will love to touch upon those as we go forward. But it is so the one thing that you might be wondering about: what is this presence economy, right? And it is kind of a revolutionary and somewhat new concept. So generally, it takes a couple of minutes for folks to kind of understand its impact and how big this idea could be. So let me elaborate this a little bit further, right? That what presence economy is and how the value is created here and what we are trying to unlock. So let me give you a scenario, right? Let's say that you, after a long day, right, you're sitting in a park, just having a quiet time with yourself, right? Now, at this time, the economic value of your presence in the park has, including to yourself, has almost a trivial, if like no value at all, right? Now, let me be very clear. Having a quiet time has a lot of value, but I'm talking from the economic perspective, right? That right now, let's assume that there is a family. Okay, they have young kids and they want to bring their kids to a basketball court, who is just next to where you're sitting. And before they kind of put their kids in a car, they want to drive, they want to understand if that basketball court is available. Now, what if they could reach out to someone, a service that could connect to someone near the park, and allow them to have a look at the basketball court very securely and anonymously for both parties, right? Before they start driving. Now, your presence has all of a sudden certain economic value. Why? Because that family might be willing to pay maybe $10 for 30 seconds or 1 second of your time to look at, basketball court through your device. Now I'm giving you a hint how we do it, and we will go into that later. But now let's elaborate this further, right? So let's say that someone lost a dog, okay, and they really want to look around quickly where you are. And at this time, when they want to reach out to you, their economic value of your presence is actually bigger than in the previous case. In this case, actually, the family or the person who's kind of looking for the dog might be willing to pay you like $50 for 3 minutes of your time, right? Now, so the value is contextual. It is
Mm,
not a fixed value. It is a
I see.
contextual. What is the need of of the user? Now,
Very
everybody is
interesting.
present somewhere,
I,
right?
I want to ask
Everywhere.
a quick
Yes.
question there. So it sounds like the value for me as the person who's present, obviously I have the opportunity now, kind of like with Uber or other services. Before I could give my time, my car, and deliver things, and you get paid through like that kind of gig economy. This is another opportunity to do that with maybe a lower barrier to entry. So I see the value there for the consumer side. And I can see also why, as someone looking for a lost dog, if I had a quick way to look into, a specific location that I'm far from, get some insight, that would be great. So I'm wondering, you mentioned peer to peer. This sounds like the use case you just explained now, but you also mentioned other use cases like business. Where are you guys starting? Where's your sort of go to market strategy starting? Is it more in the peer to peer? What are your customers and users today? Are they more on the business side or the consumer side? I'd love to understand that. And then I want to move on to understand how those specific user personas are using AI agents that are built into your product.
Absolutely, absolutely. So to begin with, when we first started working on this idea, we were firmly in the peer-to-peer world, but like a true startup, we pivoted once we realized that actually the traction will be much more easier in the business-to-business world.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we are focused very heavily into business-to-business world and actually the government sector as well, and we are finding this kind of traction in large companies, small companies, SMB sector. And across many verticals. Now you may wonder what kind of use cases folks are kind of thinking about. So some of the use cases, depending upon, and I think you alluded to this, Tyler, right? The way like Uber freed up somebody's unused asset, right? Or redeploy, I should say, for economic gain. Here, your presence is being used. So the businesses face a lot of problems, right? The fundamental problem is that there's a lot of connectivity, but not enough presence, if we can put that way, right? So if you had everywhere somebody that you knew with a phone who is willing to turn on the phone for you, then essentially you are omnipresent and you can have access to any information that you need. But that is not the case. So what we do is that we on our platform we kind of bring all this human beings and we kind of make their presence accessible in a very secure fashion. And some of the use cases that it unlocks, say there's a large customer who builds expressways, highways, bridges, and airports, etc. And they want to use our service to enable the executives and their quality control guys from the headquarters to anytime reach out anybody in the world, like wherever their projects are, at on demand, and just have them inspect things that they want to inspect,
Mm,
right?
very interesting.
And
So that's kind of
yeah,
the idea of having, you always want to listen to your users. You always want to put yourself in your customer user shoes. It sounds like you guys are
yeah,
letting businesses actually physically look through their customers' eyes, look through their customers' shoes, um, and
absolutely.
monitor their job site or other projects. That's interesting. So I'm trying to now. I'm curious. Like that makes sense from there's a lot of traditional software challenges with the security that you guys have solved with video over like a large network and these large groups of folks. That's all interesting, but on this show we definitely want to focus on the AI side. So can you now
Absolutely. Yeah,
explain to
let's.
us, yeah, let's dive in. So where do you guys use AI? And that might be conversational for your users. It might even be in the background. That's okay. But where in the product do you leverage LLM technologies, and how has that impacted, the quality of the product and the experience for your users?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, AI is everywhere on our platform, and primarily because we have a certain very fundamental values, right? One is that our platform needs to be absolutely secure, and it needs to be extremely respectful, right? So it is not free for all. We expect all transactions to be very respectful for each other and focus on the task at hand. So if you think about it, that means, but at the same time, we also, like I said, it needs to be secure and anonymously, right? And it should be anonymous. So how do you do that? These two are, if you think about it, are contradicting requirements. So we don't want to monitor any conversation, but we want to make sure that nobody's getting abused, nobody's getting hurt, nobody's getting feeling uncomfortable on our platform, and that is where AI comes in. So we are using AI technologies in many ways. Some of them are efficiency enhancements, some of them are connectivity improvements, but in a very, very fundamental way, we have this functionality on our platform, what we call MPP, misuse, prevention, and protection. And the way we do it is that every conversation, text exchange is through that layer of AI. And we keep an eye that no abusive words are being said, no nobody's being given an instruction that is unsafe, and so forth. So, for example, let's say that so you cannot use any abusive words, be it English language or any other language, right? So, like I said, that since it is a global platform, there are many languages, and actually, it is pretty hard thing to do without an AI technology in place.
Yeah,
So we are using
definitely.
LLM very heavily. They're good, and so that is very good. There are certain challenges that we can get into. So that is the one example. Then there are examples like so we are using in the agentic form, and I will get it. And the way we do it is that just monitoring itself is not important. We also need to allow action, and the action needs to be immediate if something what we call non-compliant activity is happening, be it to law, be it in a social setting and otherwise, which means that our agents need to be able to judge whether this is a right interaction. If this is not a right interaction, what do we do? Do we just flag it, just warn the user because it is just borderline violation, or we flag it and terminate the interaction, or we ban the user altogether, right? So all these decisions are actually being taken by our AI agents autonomously. Obviously, we need to keep keep evaluating the outcomes, particularly if they ban the user or somebody. But that is a totally autonomous module, what we call like MPP, is active on our platform as we speak.
Very
There are a
interesting.
couple of other examples, yeah.
No, I just want to say that's a really interesting use case where you are, you need to balance these two things that might be at odds. You want things to be secure and private, but you also need to, validate that there's compliance being followed, and that the interactions are safe and comfortable for your users. And so it sounds like you all have made this layer that's kind of sits on its own and self-directing and self-capable. It actually will take action. Super interesting. Tell me more about the other use cases you were about to mention.
Yeah, so we are early in the cycle of our product development. I mean, so one of the future agent use cases that we are talking about, which is an extension of the use cases that I kind of went in the beginning. I kind of mentioned in the beginning. So imagine that there are a goal of a user is to locate someone to get certain tasks executed. It could be B2B context. It could be peer-to-peer context. But there's a B2B context, but that there's no qualified, let's call it a provider at the site, right? So what our agent can do is actually can look around anybody on the platform, try to find out who the potential candidates are, reach out to them, say, hey, would you be interested right? Maybe negotiate
Mm-hmm.
certain rates, I mean, if available or whatever. Then let's say that that person is, I don't know, 10 miles away from the site. Then call an Uber, get that person, right? Without having that person to pay for it and claim it later, um, and transport that person to the site, and then tell the requester that, hey, your resource is on site, carry on with your next task, and so forth. So this is another agentic AI that we are actually actively developing.
Very cool.
Obviously, it requires solving a lot of tricky corner cases, but we are working on that.
Very cool. Yeah, and that definitely sounds like another very heavily agentic system. You want it to be able to take action through a service like Uber, or maybe if Uber is not available, call another rideshare platform, and the agent will need to handle all of that instead of having a large support team that would need to kind of like watch all of these situations and handle them. Very cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
What maybe the last question and topic I want to get into before we wrap up. What systems do you use to develop and evaluate these agents? So you mentioned that they need to kind of run on their own, it sounds like, in production, but I'm sure you're testing them beforehand against a set of test cases and things like that. Are there any
Yeah.
tools you can mention that have been really helpful, or have you built everything in house? Our audience is always looking out for referrals and recommendations for products or tools, frameworks that you use that work well for you.
Absolutely. So we of course use LLM models, and we have a few usual suspects in our house that we try to use. Right, ChatGPT is the one, Gemini is the one, another one. We are also experimenting with Llama, not to that great extent, but actually we might index over to them in future for some other business related regions. But the agent itself, their rules and regulations and whatever guiding principles we give, that is our own code, right? So that's the piece we use and develop and test using our own proprietary codes, and if you can use the word tool set, although they're kind of rudimentary at this time. So for testing, for example, um, we actually face some unique challenges.
Hmm.
Um, so, for example, in other cases where you could actually give a very firm guideline, which you can judge very, very clearly, right? For example, cost, you can judge very clearly whether you're
Mm-hmm.
staying within the cost. But how do you exactly monitor abuse? Abuse is
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a subjective, it's a grade. We also use our AI technologies to sometimes say a badly formed sentences or not so smart instructions to kind of business appropriate language. So for
Mm.
example, let's say that one of a very minor step might include opening a door, and you say open the door. We would not quite tell the other users open the door. We will say, could you please open the door, just to be
Mm.
polite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the thing is, how do you judge it? Because there is a bit of a range there, right? So the other challenge we face is that for all the use cases, and we have about close to 60,000 use cases, right?
Wow.
We can test them, and for all I know that, and the test, are passed with flying colors. But how do I know that this is yet another sentence or request or something that
Yeah.
LLM is handling appropriately? So there's always this element of unknowability there that makes us a little bit more stressful. We are still working on that. So yeah, so that is work in progress. So yeah, so these are kind of like a range of, and our technology stack is completely Google. So
Great.
we are both from Google, so we work through the Google technology stack.
Well, thanks for sharing that. It's really helpful for folks to hear, what models, what systems, what approaches do you take? Because like you said, you're constantly building, you're constantly learning how there's new edge cases that you didn't think of, or users learn how to use the product, right? Over time, people get more familiar with AI and they get more creative with how they can use it, hopefully for good and sometimes for less so good. And so I want to put up your website on the screen for a second before we close out. 360world.com. Can you share with the audience, who should come and download 360 World? What are the users or personas that might want to follow along or try it out?
Anyone in the world who has got a smartphone can come and download our app and continue to work with us. Our website, I just want to be very, maybe still work in progress, but some of the use cases, for example, yourself, Tyler, or anybody else there in the individual capacity, you can use our app, say for marketplace like Facebook Marketplace or
Mm-hmm.
Craigslist. If you are if you operate your Airbnb rentals, you can use our app on a very, very small scale. Businesses where you always find your executives or scarce resources having to jet around different physical locations. You can use our app to cut down their reasons to get onto a plane all the time. If you are government sector, you can use our app to actually get engaged with your end populations and target audience directly, having to cut down through all the middlemen. In fact, I would say that whatever your use case might be, as long as it involves looking at an information at a distance, our app or our platform is an answer. There are a lot of use cases that related videos that we are uploading constantly. So yeah, please visit our website, look at those websites, use cases and videos, and it might inspire you for the use cases that even we might not have thought about.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kumar. Yeah, and folks, please check out 360 World if you're interested. Appreciate you coming on, and it's great hearing about what you all are building and how you're constantly learning, like we all are in this space. So, appreciate your time, and talk again soon, hopefully.
Absolutely. Wonderful speaking with you, Tyler. And yes, all you need to do is to give me a call and we can chat again.
Amazing. All right. Have a great one. Bye now.
Thank you. Yeah.